it's Holly, it's Monday, and that means it's the next live connect. And I am absolutely thrilled to be talking about this topic today, which is the 3 keys to closing more sales. And this is going to help you even if you hate the idea of selling, even if you're brand new in your business or you have been in your business for a while. And if, quite frankly, you feel right now that you couldn't even sell ice to an Eskimo. So today's live is a really, really important one because I think so many of us now are really jumping on the bandwagon of starting our own business. You know, there's never been a better time ever to start our own business. And we're pulled in with that lure of, I can choose my own hours and I can work from anywhere and I can work within my zone of passion. You know, there's so much amazing stuff that comes along with starting our own business and pursuing what might have been, a long dream, a long time coming dream to really pursue our passions and turn them into profits. And I think once we have got through that honeymoon period of, buying the new stationery and kitting out our new home office and maybe creating, a pretty website and tinkering around on that for long enough, there comes that dawning moment where we suddenly realize, oh yeah, I have to actually sell. Now I hate to break it to you, but if you do not know how to sell, then you do not have a business. Okay, you can be the best at what you do in the world, but if you do not know how to demonstrate your value in a way that others understand and are therefore willing to pay money towards, then unfortunately we just do not have a business. So this is why today's topic is so important, because without selling, we do not make sales, we do not have clients, and therefore, the dream is kind of quashed pretty quickly. So I'd love for you to post an emoji below in the comments, whether you're watching this live or you're watching the replay. Post an emoji below that represents how you currently feel about selling. Okay, this is usually a lot of fun. There's no right or wrong answer here at all. But what is the emoji that best represents how you currently feel about selling? Because for most of us, it is usually a bit of a negative association. Okay, so that's why these 3 keys that I'm going to be sharing with you are really going to game change the way that you look at sales, the way that you feel about sales, and are really going to help position you to get more sales as a result. And these 3 keys have served me so well in my business since I started 5 years ago, where I honestly didn't know what I was doing. And I spent most days pretty much just staring at my laptop, scribbling copious notes and ideas about what I wanted to be doing. And these techniques served me from the very get-go when I got my very first paying client. Okay, so if you've just joined us, what we're doing is we're posting below in the comments emoji that best represents how you currently feel about selling. I want to see what comes up here. So, who wants to hear the 3 keys? These 3 keys have served me and they have enabled me, as I mentioned in my post, to sell 4- and 5-figure coaching programs. And I was selling 4-figure programs from the very beginning of my business. Okay, I didn't start off with one-off hourly little sessions. I sold 3-month programs from the get-go at like $3,000. So I was doing that right from the start. My very first speaking gig, I sold $15,000 worth of coaching programs. And I have been known to sell $90,000 worth of programs without even having a sales page in place. So for those of you that know me well, you'll know I'm not about the fancy tactics. I'm not about the fancy shenanigans or the bells and whistles. One day I'm sure I'll have all those in place and it will all look amazing. But my biggest message of all to all of my audience is you do not need all of the fancy frills in order to sell. You do not need all of that to make your first 6 figures and to ultimately have the positive impact that you desire most of all, which is what it's all about, right? We came into business with a purpose, and that was to not only work in your zone of passion and have all the benefits for your own lifestyle and your own family, but ultimately because you have something that you know could help and support others in the world, okay? So if you're a service-based entrepreneur, then this is you I'm talking to. Okay, so the 3 keys, the first one of all. And the first one is one that's so important no matter what you're doing in any context. And that comes down to our mindset, okay? And this is why I asked you at the start, what is it you currently think and feel about selling? Because how you currently think about selling right now will determine the results that you get. It will determine how many sales you make. It will determine how easy it is to bring clients on board. It will determine how easy it is to raise your prices. So the first key is your mindset. Now, I'm gonna invite you to have a bit of a mindset shift during this live, okay? So again, think right now, what are the ways that you currently approach a sales conversation, and how are you feeling about it? I'd love for you to post below. Tell me, how would you describe how you feel going into a sales conversation, or the thought of going into a sales conversation if you haven't yet made any sales in your business. If you're right at the beginning, that's absolutely cool. But what thoughts come up for you? You have to name those thoughts to really understand what you're working with here. Because how you think about something is going to impact how you feel about it, okay? So if I'm going to have a sales conversation, I'm like, oh my God, I'm really dreading it. I don't know what they're going to think of me. I'm going to feel like such a dick. Selling is awkward or sleazy or icky or whatever we think about selling. If we're thinking those thoughts going into that conversation, how are you going to feel? Okay, you're probably going to feel embarrassed. You are going to feel awkward. You're, not going to want to blow your own trumpet. You're not probably going to tell them things about you that might in any way feel that you're bragging or being arrogant. You're potentially not even going to offer the sale because it's going to feel pushy. Okay, so remember that thoughts translate into emotions. Okay, how you emotionally respond to selling all comes down to the way that you're currently thinking about it. That's where it stems from. And then that's the energy that you're going to take into a sales conversation. So how we show up determines 80% of our results. Just how we show up alone determines 80% of our results. So you've probably either put yourself in the running to get a client from the second that you have answered that phone call or got on that Zoom link or whatever it is that you're doing for the sales conversation, or you've taken yourself out of the running from the get-go. Okay, it usually is as simple as that. Because just think about it. When you have been speaking to someone, it doesn't have to always be in a sales context, but if you meet someone, at an event or, talking to someone online, or you're networking and you have a great conversation with someone and their energy is just lit up. They're just infectious. You want to bounce off it. They're oozing confidence. And you're saying to yourself, I want a piece of that. It's really, really attractive. It draws people in like a magnet when people are confident. Okay, there's a difference, note, between confidence and arrogance, okay? But when we're confident, when we're talking about our passions, when we just can't get enough of what it is we do, that in itself is infectious, okay? And it puts out an energy that ultimately is very attractive to other people who are on the same wavelength and who want what we're doing, okay? So just naturally, it's going to be incredibly magnetic. So think about your thoughts. Most people feel that selling is in some degree or some way awkward, pushy, icky. And that is usually because we've had at some point in our lives a negative experience where someone was pushy or arrogant, or it just was awkward and icky, full stop, okay? But what I want you to think about differently, and this is the mindset reset, the mindset switch, is that selling is actually serving. Selling is serving. That might be like, what? I've never thought about it that way before. Mind blown. This is what I want you to get your head around. Selling is actually serving. Now, what do I mean by that? I want you to think now about a moment in time where there's been something you really, really wanted, but for whatever reason, it was hard to get. Okay, maybe it was something that you wanted to do or something you wanted to have, or you had a problem you couldn't solve by yourself. So for an example, this week, my daughter, who's only 15 months, has had the most horrendous cough. It's keeping her awake at night, which means it's keeping us awake at night. It's making her irritable, and it's just heartbreaking to listen to. She went on for half an hour before bed last night. And any of us know that we've had a bad cough in the past. It's really hard to just, make it go away, right? No matter what age we are. So I posted in an online group to another mum's group, and I said, please help. Does anyone have any remedies that actually work for a 15-month-old to solve a hacking cough? And I got all these recommendations back from all these other lovely mums, and I've been told about this amazing blend of natural oils that someone who I've got in contact with can sell to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, please give it to me. They said they've used it on their children their whole lives, and they didn't even need to use Nurofen or Panadol or anything, and it always helped clear up the illnesses and the sicknesses. Now, I'm all for using whatever works. I'm definitely a fan of modern medicine, but if I can use something natural for my 15-month-old daughter that's going to help her recover from something that's seriously, impacting her in a negative way right now, I am going to go to the ends of the world to get it. So, I'm literally right now, as we speak today, been messaging someone, send it to me, tell me how much it costs, I'll pay for the postage, can you fast track it, I just need it now. So when there is something that we want, when there's something we really desire or we really need, we will go out of our way to pay for it. How would you feel in that moment if you were saying, oh, I really want this, or I want to have that, or I want to fix this, and you were talking to someone or a group of people, and there were people within that circle that could help you, but chose not to tell you because they worried it would be pushy or arrogant, or they'd be bothering you if they let you know that actually, oh, I have this perfect solution for you and I can make it available to you. And they were just worried about how that would look. And it was the one thing that you really needed, you really wanted. You would feel so pissed off, right? So think about it, the times where you've wanted to book a trip and you've wanted recommendations, or, you needed a certain outfit, or it was something like this where, it was a health issue, and there was someone that you finally came into contact with and said, oh, I know the perfect place, or I know the perfect product, or I know the perfect person that can help you. You are willing to pay for that service because you pay for what you value. And in that sense, selling is serving. But the most important thing to take out of what I've just shared here is that not selling and not sharing what you have that you know can help others, that can impact their lives in a positive way and add value to them, is actually a disservice. Okay, so you sitting there feeling, oh, I know I could do this, or I know I could help them, or I know I could create, beautiful photography, or I could help someone organize the perfect event for their, wedding or an amazing celebration in their lives, or I could help them, write a killer resume so they could finally land the job they really want. But I'm not sure if it's going to come across as too pushy or too arrogant, or how I'm going to feel about it. So I'll just keep it to myself. Unless they directly ask me, do I sell that? Which, by the way, if you haven't told anyone, then they're not going to ask, they're not going to know to ask. That is doing a disservice. You hiding your gifts from the world, the things that come naturally and easily to you, the things that you're brilliant and awesome at, is doing everyone around you a disservice. And that is why selling is serving, and we have to have that mindset around it, because that will encourage us to show up. It will encourage us to remember that it is not just about us. It's not just about us. It's rarely ever just about us. It goes beyond us. It's bigger than us. If you are in a service-based business, you're a service-based entrepreneur, then think about the positive impact you can have on others. Whether you can help their lives become easier or simpler or more stress-free. If you can add more joy and happiness to their lives, if you can make their lives calmer in some way, whatever it is you do that has that positive impact, ultimately is the end outcome. You are denying that from other people. You're essentially holding that back. And that's why you have to do what I love to say, is quit hiding your brilliance and start sharing it with the world, because the world is waiting for what you have. And we cannot underestimate that. Okay, so key number 1, selling is serving. I would love to post in the comments what's come up for you when I've shared that, because it's such a massive one. Remember, just to recap, how we show up to the sales conversation in the first place, 80% of your result is already going to be determined just how you show up. The thoughts you're thinking about the sales conversation are going to impact how you feel about it, which is going to impact the energy you bring into that conversation, and ultimately what you do or do not say. Not telling people about your greatest gifts in the world and how you can help others is actually a disservice. So remember to reframe how you're thinking about selling right now. Okay, good stuff? Let me know. Who wants to hear key number 2? This actually leads us on really nicely to key number 2, what I've just been sharing. Okay, so I just described reaching out and asking for help for my daughter. So my daughter has this awful, irritable cough, and it's just going on and on and on, and it's really, really making her suffer. So I reached out and I asked for help, and I found this amazing natural remedy that can help, and I've literally got it on order, and I took action like that. Like, didn't hesitate, because it's such an important thing for me to fix right now. It's like a big burning problem. And that leads us on to key number 2. You are selling the solution to a problem. That is what you're actually selling, okay? And if you're not currently thinking about it in that way, if you're not currently talking about it and describing it in that way, then that could be why you're not currently hitting the mark and you're not actually closing the sales conversations you want to be closing. Okay, so even if you're already making sales but you're not charging the prices you want to, or you are not making any sales because you're not having sales conversations, this is the way I want you to start structuring how you describe what you do, what you offer, and how it is ultimately of value to others. Because people will pay for what they value, but above anything else, they will pay to solve their problems. Okay, so as human beings, we are wired to be in pain avoidance mode. We will do anything not to feel uncomfortable. Trust me on this. So, as I mentioned, when it comes to my daughter, I will go to the ends of the earth to ensure that she's not suffering in any way. If there's something out there that can help her, I'm going to make sure I get my hands on it. I'm not going to care what it costs, and I'm not going to care if I have to, fast track the postage, because for me, that's a big burning problem right now at this moment in time that's affecting her and her health and her happiness, her sleep, and also our sleep. So it's a big burning problem for me. So you need to think about what is the big burning problem for your potential clients and your audience. Do you know this in detail? Do you know, most importantly, how they describe it? Because when we know that, then the whole sales conversation, I promise you, will just slot into place. It just becomes easy and effortless to sell because ultimately, again, we're embracing what I've just talked about in key number 1, which is selling is serving. We are serving others by providing a solution to their biggest burning problem, something that we know is going to make life easier, simpler, better, happier, calmer, whatever it is that you do, and in whatever way you help. Okay, so when we talk about problems, when we start to understand what that is, what it is that's going on for our potential client, when we make that the focus of the conversation, then not only are you going to build that connection, that trust, and that rapport, the conversation is going to flow because, we download our problems if someone's going to listen to us, right? When we're really struggling with something and someone asks, and how's that going for you? And what's the impact of that for you? And, tell me more about, what it is you're struggling with or what is it that you're finding challenging. When we feel that we're in a safe place, in a safe space, we're going to download, okay? We're going to go through all the detail of what it means, how it's keeping us up at night, how life would be better if I could just get rid of this one big burning fat problem. And ultimately, that is what we need in sales conversation. We need to understand where our client is at or our potential client is at so we know how best to help them. But it also means that you can talk to them in language that is going to resonate. Okay, and psychologically, this is incredibly, incredibly powerful. When we can reflect back to them, I hear you, I understand that such and such a problem must be really challenging. This is something I help all my clients with. This is something that's totally normal to be feeling. There's just nothing more like, in the world. It's just a sigh of relief to know that someone else gets it, someone else understands it, and hey, there's a solution to it, and this is how I can help you. It's just music to our ears when that is the situation. Okay, so you need to get inside your client's head. You need to know how would they describe their biggest burning problem, because I meet so many people and we all make this mistake, okay? I will preface this with, we all go through this rite of passage, and I did myself, with thinking that we can just sell whatever it is we do. I sell photography, or I sell coaching, or I sell health and well-being. That is not what you're selling. And that is not what gets you clients. And that's, if you have been trying to do that, I help people achieve their goals, or I sell coaching programs, coaching services, so people can feel more positive. It doesn't work. People have nothing to hinge onto. They have nothing to grasp onto and nothing that resonates with what's currently going on for them in their world. It just feels like a nice to have. Okay, and unless they really love you or they've bought into whatever it is you do and they know they need it, it's a very, very hard sell. Okay, so switch the conversation, switch the focus for yourself, know intimately the problems of your potential clients, and the sales conversation will become an absolute breeze. Okay, good stuff? Tell me in the comments below, what is resonating? What is helpful here? What is like the big mind-blown aha moment? What's going to change the game forever for you when it comes to your sales conversations? I want to hear, how is this helpful right now? Okay, so who wants to hear key number 3? Let's just recap. Key number 1, selling is serving. Key number 2, in order to make our sales conversations an absolute breeze, we need to know our clients' biggest burning problems and recognize that what we are selling is the solution to them. Okay, we're not selling what we do. We're not selling the services or the programs or the packages. We are selling the solution to their problems. So we need to know how they describe it in order to do that really powerfully. Okay, key number 3 is something that often gets overlooked. Again, usually because it's associated with feeling pushy or bothering people. But this is one of the most important things of all when it comes to selling, because this alone drives 50% of all actual sales. Hey, Crystal. Awesome. So Crystal says, listening to them will give the info and the sale will make itself. Yes, it just slots into place. It literally slots into place. It's like magic. But the great thing is, you know, we don't feel bad about that because we know we're helping. We know we're serving. Okay, unless you are in an unethical or immoral business, then you can, you know, trust in the fact that you are having a positive impact on others and a benefit to others. And that's why we must show up regardless of what we're thinking or how we're feeling. Okay, because it's not about us, it's about them. Key number 3, as I mentioned, is super important because it alone accounts for 50% of all sales, and yet so few people actually do it. And that is the follow-up. Okay, so many people will tell you, I need to think about it for whatever reason. Okay, so great to know what the options are, or I've had a fantastic conversation, I just want to go away and sleep on it, I want to think about it, I want to talk to my partner about it, you know, I want to weigh up my options, I want to tune into myself and see how it feels. I'm the same, okay, I'm not an impulsive decision maker. I like to go away and just sit with something, I like to reflect on it, or I like to sleep on it, and then the next morning just feel validated that yes, you know, I'm totally trusting my intuition on this, and I'm going to go with it. So when people don't necessarily buy on the call there and then, it's not a no. And this is a big mistake that a lot of people make. You know, few people actually buy there and there on the phone. Okay, in certain circumstances, of course. But what bothers me about a lot of the sales training out there is that there's this real pressure that you've got to get them to whip out their credit card and sign up on the dotted line there and then, and while you're still on the phone call with them. And that does feel ick to me, okay? That just feels rushed and incongruent and just uncool. Because I don't do that. So how can I possibly expect my clients to do that? So what we need to recognize instead is that the follow-up is super important because people do need time to think and reflect. And then what can often happen is because we are in pain avoidance mode and we're always fearful about making changes, no matter what those changes are, that we need to address any concerns that our clients may have. And what you need to be able to do is to create a space where they feel comfortable enough to tell you what those are. If you have not created that sense of trust during your conversation interaction with someone, then they're not going to actually tell you the real reason they may be delaying or hesitating, or what, if anything, is making them feel unsure. And if you don't know that, you can't handle that objection, right? And it could be as simple as, I really want to join this group program, but those times of day aren't going to work for me. It could be as simple as that. And that could be something within your control that's easily changed. But if you don't know what it is, they might just simply say, I'll think about it, I'll let you know, or maybe another time. And you know, you're forever pulling out your hair thinking, oh my God, I just suck at sales. So following up is key, first and foremost, because people are forgetful. People are busy, okay? It's not just your thing that they have going on in their lives. And also because there may have been some little objections that have cropped up that they need to think through or need to work through and perhaps don't know how to work through. And so there needs to be that follow-up conversation so that you can make that really simple and easy and address any concerns they may have. I've had people tell me in the past that, they've spoken to other people, I think it was a coaching context, and they had a great conversation with them and they said, I just need to think about it. And the other person said, fine, that's cool. And then they never heard from them again. So the coach who they were going to hire never got back in touch. And it actually made that person feel like they didn't really care if they worked with them or not. They didn't care if they hired them or not. We definitely don't want to leave that impression on people. So us feeling that we don't want to bother people could actually have the opposite impact, where they don't care enough to actually follow up and ask if I'm interested anymore. I've also had the same thing happen to me, and I haven't It's had an impression on me too. It's had an impact where I'm like, oh, I don't know if they're engaged enough, if they're interested enough in working with me. Maybe I'm not the right fit, and they didn't think that I would actually be, the ideal client for them. So we want to make sure that we don't allow those conversations to happen, in isolation. They actually are as part of a continued dialogue with us. Also, someone may not be ready to buy right now, okay, for whatever reason, and that's okay as well. Obviously, that's okay. If we know that we can help them, and we've worked through the objections, and we've made sure that it's not just fear talking, because that's the biggest reason that will hold people back. Ultimately, again, we're not serving them if we allow their fears to block them from, making changes or seeking help and support that we know could make all the difference for them. Okay, that's not serving them either. Excuse me. Particularly in my throat. But equally, for whatever reason, it may not be the right time. So through the follow-up, you're still continuing that relationship, because if they've bought into you and what you offer, and they're engaged, and they know that their lives could be impacted in a positive way, then at some point in time they will buy from you. But not if that conversation and that connection and that relationship has just come to an end, or if you've gone off in a huff because they didn't buy the first time round, okay? It's just not how it works. I had an awful experience recently of speaking to someone as a potential coach for me to hire, and I just got this intuitive hit quite early on in the conversation that this just feels off. I just don't think this person's for me. And we all have to recognize, as coaches or as any service-based entrepreneur, we are not for everyone. We are not for everyone, and that's cool. We want clients who are ideal for us, and we want to be ideal for our clients, okay? That's just the perfect marriage. So when it feels off, I didn't want to waste this person's time. I knew I wasn't going to hire them and work with them, so I brought the conversation to a close, and I had this barrage of stuff afterwards of just what felt like complete guilt tripping as to why I wasn't taking, the decision to go ahead, and how life was really going to suck. My business was going to suck from not working with them. And it just left this awful taste in my mouth. It really validated my intuitive hit. So thanks again, intuition. But what an awful lasting impression to leave. Okay, it could just be that right now it wasn't the right time. And that's why we have to honor and safeguard every relationship regardless of how someone leaves it. If someone doesn't want to work with you, that's cool. We can still serve them in other ways. Okay, they can still be in our communities. We can still support them with our free resources or our lives, or in any way we can, because that's ultimately what this work is all about, right? So, had they left a completely different impression on me, it might actually have changed my mind towards them. It might have altered my opinion, and maybe in the future I might have reconsidered working with them in some capacity. But this just 100% drew a line down the middle for me and just validated all those concerns I had. So just think about, it's not just your first impression with a client, it's the lasting impression that you leave with them too. Okay, so following up, asking how they're going, checking in on them, understanding what the fears or concerns are so that you can address them, and equally, regardless of what happens, preserving that relationship and understanding how you can serve them on whatever level that might look like at that point in time. Okay, so those are the 3 keys. They are the 3 keys to closing more sales. I'd love to hear what you're taking away. What is your big aha outcome here? Post below in the comments. And if you would like some support on structuring your sale conversations, if you are recognizing, actually, I have no idea what my client's biggest burning pain point is, or how to weave that into the conversation, or maybe you're even thinking, gosh, this has really brought home that I don't actually know who my ideal audience is and who I'm even targeting in my sales conversations. Or if you know all of that, but you just feel that your sales conversations are really not where they need to be, and you're not closing the sales you want to be, or not at the prices you want to be, then I have a really fantastic opportunity, which I just yesterday decided to do as an end of financial year offer. I wasn't going to do one, and then I thought, why not? So I'm offering something that I haven't offered for a full 6 months, and that is a Pick My Brain strategy session with me. So ordinarily, and if you go to my website, you'll see this is the case, you cannot book coaching with me as a one-off outside of any of my overall programs. So these days I work with a very select number of one-on-one clients. Mainly I just work with my clients in my group mastermind program. So those are 4-figure investments over 6 and 10 month periods. So this is an opportunity to pick my brains for 90 minutes. You'll get one-on-one time with me where we will map out where you're at, what your biggest challenge is in your business right now when it comes to selling, when it comes to serving your clients, whether that's literally who they are to begin with and nailing your niche and getting clarity around that, whether that is how do I start getting clients to have sales conversations with, or whether it is how do I close those conversations and those sales in an authentic way that feels good to me. So if you know that you are currently struggling with those areas, this could be a perfect opportunity for you to get some one-on-one focused support around that. So this will be a 90-minute session where we will work one-on-one totally on your agenda. We'll map out this strategy. We'll get the clarity for you. We'll get the confidence about closing more sales in this way. And we'll understand what the next steps really need to be. So this is a really practical session. You'll leave with tons of strategies and techniques, and then you'll have 7 days of email access support to me as well. So I'm not one to just have a great conversation and then leave you to it. I want to support you through implementing that and executing that, so you actually do get the results that that's the whole purpose of. So you'll get 7 days of access to me where you can ask any questions, get feedback on the next steps that you take, and you'll get tons of customized resources depending on what your focus area is, of course. So if that is, again, structuring your sales conversation, then you're going to get tools and techniques that are going to really support you through that. If it's how do I nail my niche once and for all and know who I'm actually selling to, then you'll get tools and support around that specifically as well to your situation. So if you are interested in this, this is a super limited opportunity. It's like a ridiculous offer. As I said, it's not available anywhere else, not even available on my website. Then click the link that I'm going to post in these comments and snap up your spot. There's only going to be 10 available and 2 have already gone. So 10 spots available to get 90 minutes of coaching one-on-one with me on any topic you want. It's deliberately been called a pick my brain session, so I'm not going to prescribe how you use it. It's totally up to you. And we can together work through a strategy to solve your biggest burning problem. So click on the link if that speaks to you, and make sure you grab one of those spots, because I don't know if I'm ever going to be offering it at this price again. I said last time that it was the last time I was ever going to do it, and then on a whim yesterday I thought, okay, I'll do it one more time. So as I said, 10 spots available only for the end of financial year offer, so make sure you bag your spot. I hope this has been of value to you. If you know there are others that are struggling with sales conversations themselves, then make sure you share this live and tag them in it, so they can also benefit from what I've talked about today. And with these 3 keys, hope to close more sales for you and your clients too. And if you have a specific question for a future live connect, don't forget to tag me in the group as well. I'm thrilled to always answer questions that will support you best. So have a wonderful week ahead, and we'll speak soon. Bye for now.